Chapter 1 Government Acknowledgement. When I was completing my graduate degree, I became comfortable compiling masses of information and delving into issues to find hidden agendas, etc. With my thesis finished, I knew that I was well prepared to tackle any big project that came my way. The techniques I'd learned were quite helpful when I moved into the technology sector as a vice president of business development, responsible for worldwide business alliances associated with the laser industry and database development. I was able to use my skills and ability to push forward corporate agendas. I always had an easy time ciphering out corporate issues and getting information on companies. It is the government that has historically been secretive about releasing sensitive information to the public. The mission. As someone who worked for municipalities for 20 years as a police officer, I had a deep appreciation for what governments bring to the table. The resources that governments at all levels can bring to any investigation are substantial. If one level of bureaucracy doesn't have the specific resource, they make a mutual aid call and help arrives. Prior to actually going into the field looking for a suitable location to search for Bigfoot and interview witnesses, I thought it would be prudent to see if the government had ever acknowledged the existence of Bigfoot. This wasn't an easy task. Most governments don't make public spectacles of themselves, and most elected officials do not want to be embarrassed. I was, however, able to find a few very interesting government documents that were applicable to Bigfoot. As almost all citizens in any country know, governments avoid putting themselves in awkward situations where they can't defend their positions. Government employees do not want to cause turmoil or embarrassment for themselves or their superiors for fear of reprisal, and, therefore, are among the most cautious of workers. I think we could extrapolate that military leaders and their subordinates are extremely cautious on the public stance they take on the issues, and usually have all printed material for public review or inspection approved by several layers of bureaucracy. The Army Corps of Engineers is among the most cautious of all military branches, being used for many key government functions throughout the United States and the world. Most recently, the Corps was used in New Orleans to stem the flow of water from Hurricane Katrina. The Corps is an extremely competent, intelligent, and technical part of the U.S. Army. The United States Army Corps of Engineers, USACE, is made up of approximately 34,600 civilians and 650 military men and women. Our military and civil engineers, scientists, and other specialists work hand in hand as leaders in engineering and environmental matters. Our diverse workforce of biologists, engineers, geologists, hydrologists, natural resource managers, and other professionals meet the demands of changing times and require as a vital part of America's Army. Quoted from the Army Corps of Engineers website. In the realm of Bigfoot research, we are always looking for credible validations of belief. The idea that Bigfoot exists is always the number one issue that we are searching for and attempting to document. In my personal search of the United States government records to acknowledge publicly the issue of Bigfoot, I was successful. The United States Army Corps of Engineers authored an atlas in 1975 on the state of Washington. The atlas encompassed a variety of topics in which the Corps had expertise. Many of the problems the Corps covered represents issues and barriers they may encounter en route to their mission. One portion of the atlas is a 2-page report on Sasquatch. The narrative follows. Sasquatch. The very existence of Sasquatch, Bigfoot, as it is sometimes known, is hotly disputed. Some profess to be open-minded about the matter, although stating that not one piece of evidence will withstand serious scientific scrutiny. Others, because of a particular incident or totality of reports over the years, are convinced that Sasquatch is a reality. Alleged Sasquatch hair samples inspected by FBI laboratories resulted in the conclusion that no such hair exists on any human or presently known animal for which such data are available. Information from alleged sightings, tracks, and other experiences conjure up the picture of an ape-like creature standing between 8 and 12 feet tall, weighing in excess of 1,000 pounds, and taking strides of up to 6 feet. Plaster casts have been made of tracks showing a large, squarish foot, 14 to 24 inches in length and 5 to 10 inches in breadth. Reported to feed on vegetation and some meat, the Sasquatch is covered with long hair except the face and hands, and has a distinctly human-like form. Sasquatch is very agile and powerful, with the endurance to cover a vast range in search of food, shelter, and others of its kind. It is apparently able to see at night and is extremely shy, leaving minimal evidence of its presence. Tracks are presently the best evidence of its existence. A short film of an alleged female Sasquatch was shot in Northern California, which, although scoffed at, shows no signs of fabrication. The Pacific Northwest is generally considered to be the hotbed of Sasquatch activity, with Washington leading in numbers of reports of tracks or sightings since 1968. However, reports of Sasquatch-like creatures are known from as far as the Pamir Mountains in the USSR and South America. If Sasquatch is purely legendary, the legend is likely to be a long time dying. On the other hand, if Sasquatch does exist, then with the Sasquatch hunts being mounted and the increasing human population, it seems likely that some hard evidence may soon be at hand. Legendary or actual, Sasquatch excites a great popular interest in Washington. 1975 American Corps of Engineers Washington Atlas. The narrative also includes a map that shows sighting locations and a small drawing of Sasquatch. I've included the above listed narrative for assistance in the reading of their document. The fine people at the Corps of Engineers in Seattle emailed me a scanned copy of the document, and it's included on page 20. The scan didn't copy perfectly, so I transcribed the narrative. The sightings maps they have included listed the following. British Columbia, tracks 38, sightings 80, both 11, total 138. Washington, tracks 32, sightings 51, both 12, total 95. Oregon, tracks 15, sightings 25, both 6, total 46. California, tracks 82, sightings 59, both 10, total 151. Other, tracks 7, sightings 42, both 18, total 67. Totals for all. Tracks 174, sightings 266, both 57, total 497. In a review of the corpse narrative, it is important to note the first paragraph and the statement regarding hair samples. It states that hair samples allegedly from a Sasquatch came back from analysis as not known to any human or animal. This statement is quite important. If the fiber wasn't hair, it would state it was synthetic, cotton, etc. It was hair, but it cannot be identified using any known DNA profile per the FBI. The second paragraph describes the creature within the physical parameters of what we have identified in Hoopa. It also states that they have found no fabrication of the Patterson-Gimlin footage of Bigfoot Sasquatch. If you believe in your government and you believe they have the best evidence, laboratories, and tools available, then I believe the government is taking a bold step forward in the authentication of Bigfoot Sasquatch as a creature. Skamania County, Washington. Skamania County is located in the state of Washington, approximately 60 miles east of Vancouver, Washington, at the mouth of the Columbia River Gorge. This area is extremely rural, with Gifford-Pinchot National Forest to the north and Mount Hood National Forest to the south. Skamania County has a total population of 10,664 people as of 2005. The county has 1,672 square miles in area. The largest city in Skamania and the county seat is Stevenson, with a population of 1,200. Skamania County received national recognition in 1969 when the county commissioners received several reports of Bigfoot sightings. The commissioners became concerned and believed that there was a creature matching Bigfoot's description that lived in the rural sections of the county. Their concern prompted the council to enact legislation, Ordinance 69-01. To understand what may have prompted the county to enact the legislation, I checked the BFRO.net website under their sighting section. I found that Skamania County had the largest number of reported Bigfoot sightings in Washington, 50. The year range for sightings in Skamania County is 1950 to 2006. The first document listed in the following pages is the first piece of legislation that was passed in 1969. In summary, the council states, there is evidence to indicate the possible existence in Skamania County of the nocturnal primate mammal. This is a monumental declaration for a legislative body to state. The bill goes on to state that any wanton killing of the creature is a felony. See the bill for the exact wording. In 1984, Skamania County opted to update their Bigfoot legislation adopted in 1969. The update was extensive. The legislation went from 1 page to 3. What follows on pages 24 to 26 is the entire 3-page bill. When I originally called the county councilors, they appeared quite surprised that I had known about the amendment and specifically asked if I knew the legislation number. They didn't. Here it is for your review. Skamania County Ordinance 1984-2 amends and repeals portions of Bill 1969-1. The current legislation talks about the existence of the creature and the lack of local and national laws to protect it. It then states that the council may have exceeded its authority by making the violation a felony. The council declares its county to be a Sasquatch refuge and describes the creature as Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot, or giant hairy ape. The council further states any type of killing of the creature will be a misdemeanor punishable according to the type of killing, accidental, premeditated, etc. The most interesting section of the Skamania County legislation is found in Section 4. It states, should the Skamania County coroner determine any victim/creature to have been humanoid, the prosecuting attorney shall pursue the case under existing law pertaining to homicide. Should the coroner determine the victim to have been an anthropod, ape-like creature, The prosecuting attorney shall proceed under the terms of this ordinance. A county in the United States of America is so concerned about the welfare of a creature that science will not acknowledge exists that it enacts legislation addressing the point of killing a human versus an anthropod. Fascinating. Whatcom County, Washington. An internet search for Bigfoot/Sasquatch legislation came up with Whatcom County, Washington. I called the county council and was fortunate to be assisted by a very friendly county employee. I explained my request and asked if she had ever heard of the legislation. She stated that she had, but had never received a request for a copy. She said that she would gladly send me a certified copy. Their legislation was enacted on June 9th, 1991. The bill calls for Whatcom County be declared a Sasquatch protection and refuge area. Whatcom County is also located in the state of Washington. Whatcom is the northwesternmost county in the state and sits adjacent to the Canadian border. The county has a population of 183,000 people with a landmass of 2,119 square miles. The county seat is Bellingham, with a population of 61,000 people. Whatcom County has a designation as a National Scenic Byway from Bellingham to Mount Baker, Highway 542. There are locations of Whatcom County in the Mount Baker region that are extremely rural. In 1992, Whatcom County received national prominence when their county council enacted legislation defining the county as a Sasquatch protection and refugee area. The legislation was passed and approved on 6/9/91 and was formally implemented in 1992, thus the date of the bill. A check of Bigfoot internet databases lists 40 sightings in Whatcom County, which makes it ranked as 8 on the Washington County list for the most Sasquatch Bigfoot sightings. 5 of the sightings listed on the site are near the Mount Baker, Lake Baker area. The years that sightings have been reported range from 1972 to 2005. Whatcom County did not list any penalties for violating the legislation, and the language in the bill is very limited as compared to Skamania County's bill. The legislation is written on a single page and is shown on page 27. Whatcom County has not amended or repealed the legislation, and it still stands as county law. Ordinance number 69-01. Be it hereby ordained by the Board of County Commissioners of Skamania County, whereas there is evidence to indicate the possible existence in Skamania County of a nocturnal primate mammal variously described as an ape-like creature or a subspecies of Homo sapien, and whereas both legend and purported recent sightings and spoor support this possibility, and whereas this creature is generally and commonly known as a Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot, or giant hairy ape, and whereas publicity attendant upon such real or imagined sighting has resulted in an influx of scientific investigators as well as casual hunters, many armed with lethal weapons, and whereas the absence of specific laws covering the taking of specimens encourages laxity in the use of firearms and other deadly devices and poses a clear and present threat to the safety and well-being of persons living or traveling within the boundaries of Skamania County, as well as to the creatures themselves. Therefore, be it resolved that any premeditated, willful, and wanton slaying of any such creature shall be deemed a felony punishable by a fine not to exceed $10,000 and or imprisonment in the county jail for a period not to exceed 5 years. Be it further resolved that the situation existing constitutes an emergency, and as such, this ordinance is effective immediately, adopted this first day of April, 1969. Ordinance number 1984-2, partially repealing and amending Ordinance number 1969-01. Whereas evidence continues to accumulate indicating the possible existence within Skamania country of a nocturnal primate animal variously described as an ape-like creature or a subspecies of Homo sapien, and whereas legend, purported recent findings, and spoor support this possibility, and whereas this creature is generally and commonly known as Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot, or giant hairy ape, all of which terms may hereinafter be used interchangeably, and whereas publicity attends upon for such real or imagined findings and other evidence have resulted in an influx of scientific investigators as well as casual hunters, most of which are armed with lethal weapons, and whereas the absence of specific national and state laws restricting the taking of specimens has created a dangerous state of affairs within this county with regard to firearms and other deadly devices used to hunt the Yeti, and poses a clear and present danger to the safety and well-beings of persons living or traveling within the boundaries of this county, as well as to the giant hairy apes themselves, and whereas previous county ordinance number 1969-01 deemed the slaying of such a creature to be a felony punishable by 5 years in prison, and may have exceeded to judicial authority of that Board of County Commissioners. Now, therefore, be it hereby ordained by the Board of County Commissioners of Skamania County that the portion of Ordinance number 1969-01 deeming the slaying of Bigfoot to be a felony and punishable by 5 years in prison is hereby replaced, and it is seated. The following sections are enacted. Section 1. Sasquatch Refuge. The Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot, or giant hairy ape are declared to be endangered species of Skamania County, and therefore is hereby created a Sasquatch Refuge, the boundaries of which shall be coextensive with the boundaries of Skamania County. Section 2. Crime, Penalty. From and after the passage of this ordinance, the permeated, willful, or wanted slaying of Sasquatch shall be unlawful and shall be punishable as follows. A. If the actor is found to be guilty of such a crime with malice aforethought, such act shall be deemed a gross misdemeanor. B. If the act is found to be premeditated and willful or wanton but without malice aforethought, such act shall be deemed a misdemeanor. C. A gross misdemeanor slaying of Sasquatch shall be punishable by 1 year in the county jail and a $1,000 fine, or both. D. The slaying of Sasquatch, which is deemed a misdemeanor, shall be punishable by a $500 fine and up to 6 months in the county jail, or both. Section 3. Defense. In the prosecution and trial of any accused Sasquatch killer, the fact that the actor is suffering from inane delusions, diminished capacity, or that the act was a product of a diseased mind shall not be a defense. Section 4. Humanoid, Anthropod. Should the Skamania County coroner determine any victim/creature to have been humanoid, the prosecuting attorney shall pursue the case under existing laws pertaining to homicide, Should the coroner determine the victim to have been an arthropod, ape-like creature, the prosecuting attorney shall proceed under the terms of this ordinance. Be it further ordained that the situation existing constitutes an emergency, and as such, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage. Reviewed this 2nd day of April, 1984, and set for public hearing on the 16th day of April, 1984, at 10 o'clock a.m. Board of County Commissioners, Skamina County, Washington. Resolution number 92-043, declaring Whatcom County as Sasquatch Protection and Refuge Area. Whereas legend, purported, recent findings, and spoor suggest that Bigfoot may exist, and whereas, if such a creature exists, it is inadequately protected and in danger of death or injury. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Whatcom County Council that Whatcom County is hereby declared a Sasquatch Protection and Refuge Area, and all citizens are asked to recognize said status. Be it further resolved, this resolution shall be effective immediately. Approved this 9th day of June in 1991. By Whatcom County Council, Whatcom County in Washington.